Well, my friends, I've never really done something like this before on the channel, but after using the same exact phone setup for the past few months, I keep seeing questions pop up here and there, asking about my wallpapers or what icon packs I'm using or what apps I've been using lately. And I thought with the holidays coming up, it would be the perfect time to finally sit down and share what's going on with my phone. I've finally gotten to the point where I'm extremely comfortable with this device setup. To me, it feels cohesive, it feels productive, and hopefully you can learn something new for your own device, or at least learn a little bit about me in this What's on My Phone video. Now, I want to start with the aspect that everyone loves, which is customization. Right now, I'm daily driving the Nothing Phone 3. Me personally, I absolutely love the design and I love the software experience here. To me, it's super minimalist, it's clean, and I really enjoy the customization options. Currently, I'm using a combination of the built-in features within the operating system itself, paired with some apps from the Play Store to help elevate the experience. For wallpapers, I am almost exclusively using an app called Resplash. This is a third-party client for another service on the internet called Unsplash, which is arguably the internet's best resource for high-quality, royalty-free photography. There is an insane level of quality with all of their submissions. There's no garbage, there's no AI-generated art, there's no junk, just professional-level photographs taken by real photographers. To me, I love it because the UI is super clean, it's super simple, there are an infinite amount of collections to browse depending on your taste. I can always find something that I'm looking for here. So if you're the type of person that appreciates a more mature, clean look when it comes to wallpapers, Resplash is easily one of my absolute favorites. However, when I'm not using Unsplash and I just need something basic and beautiful without much thought, I'm always using a wallpaper from the art section of the official Google Wallpapers app. And this is one that's kind of been a tech YouTuber favorite here, if I had to say. All the most interesting wallpapers that you've probably seen across all of these tech videos throughout the years most likely comes from this app, and I personally love the design choices that we have here. So many beautiful, vibrant looking wallpapers that honestly look right at home on a Pixel screen. So if you use a Pixel phone, definitely consider checking out the Google Wallpapers app because there is so much gorgeous variety here, and you'll certainly find something that you appreciate. Moving on to widgets, I have a few on my home screen that I rely on heavily. Nothing OS 4 actually introduced these really cool AI generated widgets made by the community members, so I have a few of those running on my home screen. First is this little sunrise sunset widget that I have here. As a full-time creative who likes to film using sunlight, this is genuinely useful to see exactly how much light I have left in the day at a quick glance. I'm also using this Make Tech Fun Again widget. It's also AI generated, part of this Nothing OS 4 update, and while I can change the text on it, I like the phrase that comes by default, make tech fun again. It really sticks out to me. This isn't a political thing by any means, just to be clear. I just genuinely feel like we need more fun in the tech space, so having this reminder on my home screen is something I personally really like to see. And to round out these AI generated apps, I do have this Pokemon stat generator type deal. It's really nothing crazy. It just shows you the first few basic stats of however many Pokemon are here in this interface. They probably have support for over 1,000 here. And it's really nothing crazy. I love Pokemon. I love just scrolling through and just looking at the stats, being reminded of certain creatures. To me, it's just kind of just adds a little bit of fun to my device. So I'm a huge fan of this one. Again, also part of the Nothing OS 4 AI generated widgets thing. And then I do have a few non-AI generated widgets as well. I do have a widget from Timestripe. This is one that we'll talk about in a couple minutes, but it's basically just a day-to-day checklist. I can format in days, months, weeks, years. Again, we'll talk about more about that in a minute, but this is my day-to-day responsibilities I always have here on my second, on the second part of the homepage. And then I have my Google Fi data metrics here. Nothing crazy, but I just want to keep track of how much data I'm using, how much data I have left, and how many days until my next cycle. So this is a pretty great app, or a pretty great widget to help me out with that aspect of my day-to-day. Also, I almost forgot, I do want to mention the icon pack I'm using here, which is called Delta. I found this one a few years back, and I always get some kind of comments here and there. Some of them do say it's ugly, which I definitely don't see. The reason that I fell in love with this icon pack in the first place is because it reminds me a lot of Android 5.0 Lollipop. A lot of these icons just look very similar to that, with these pastel colors, the flat design, and a super super simple look. To me, the Lollipop days was definitely peak Android. I'm an old man, and to me, back in the day is Android 5.0 Lollipop, and I just remember there was so much hype around that release. So continuing with a similar style of wallpaper pack just keeps me nostalgic for the good old days. Now that that's done, let's move on to the actual apps I have on my phone, and everything is set up on the very first page to be perfectly tailored for the most important things in my life. For one, we have Gemini, of course, and this is something that I use literally every single day, and I ask anything that I possibly can, from just random generic questions. I take photos of items and use it for identification. I do use this as a journaling app because it constantly remembers all the information about me, and if I have any creative ideas or creative questions, I'm always throwing it in there to just kind of get more information on aspects that I'm trying to think about. This app has become a literal lifeline for me, just like ChatGPT has become for a lot of people. And if you're not already using Gemini, at least take a look at it because it is pretty solid. Tomato is a brand new app that I found lately, and if you're someone that loves design or smartphone design, you really need to take a look at this. This app is super simple. It's just a Pomodoro timer built entirely with the Material 3 expressive design, and it also does have support for the Android 16 live updates. In general, this timer app is just super simple. It has very clean, minimal animations, and I really like how the developer kind of interpreted Material 3 expressive in their own eyes. It looks gorgeous, and I'm a huge fan of it. I really do hope we see more apps adopting this more fluid Material 3 expressive like design in the future, but for now, Tomato is simply awesome. Next is an app called Timestripe. I did talk about this a little bit, but this is a paid app that helps me keep track of my goals in a day, week, month, and year format. Basically, if I have something that I need to remember, I need to do in the future, all of it lives inside this app. I can check off tasks as I've completed them, and it gives me some level of long-term consistent growth. I'm going over this way too fast. You need to check this app out for yourself, especially if you have a hard time keeping track of things. Timestripe has killed it for me as of late. Also, I do have another app called Heavy. It's very similar in concept to Timestripe, but this is specifically for weightlifting. This allows me to keep track of my week over week and month over month weightlifting goals on a consistent basis in this digital format instead of having to carry around a physical notebook like I see a lot of people doing. Personally, I really like this app because I can enter my own routine, I can see my progress over the course of the past few months, and it helps put a tangible level of progress on my weightlifting goals, and I have real accountability where I can visualize how consistent I have been in the gym. At the end of the day, it really just does a good job helping me visualize my fitness data, especially if you're someone that's trying to build muscle like I am, in a way that I really appreciate, and it just makes it easy for me to follow along. Not to mention, the free tier is incredibly generous as well. It's not littered with ads or promotions or anything like that. It's actually one of the few apps that I feel guilty not paying for because it's been so helpful, so I'll probably pick up a subscription eventually anyway. Next up is an app that I've really come to love, which is the Brave browser. And it's a browser that's built on Chrome, but it has a lot of privacy features that are enabled by default. I don't really have to do anything or screw around with it. Everything just works installing it from the jump. And I love this app because it aggressively blocks all the garbage you typically see while browsing the web, like third-party ads, trackers, and even those annoying cookie consent pop-ups. It even gives you YouTube without ads, even though I do pay for premium anyway. I've just found it's a really nice bonus here that I wanted to mention. My favorite feature, though, is that it shows you how many trackers it's blocking from each website you visit, and this has been a real eye-opening experience. The reason why it has been is because a lot of these big mainstream news websites like CNN, MSNBC, and all the rest of them out there have so many trackers and so many ads. Again, something I didn't realize until I installed the Brave browser. This isn't a political conversation here. We're not opening that can of worms, but Fox News, for example, I fired up just to see how many ads were on here, and there was up to 48 different kinds of ads and trackers and different kind of garbage just visiting the website, just opening it up. Same thing with MSNBC, CNN. These guys have over 20, 30, 40 trackers on CNN. To me, absolutely insane, and I cannot believe that I used a browser without these protection features for so long. So if you're someone like me who's even the slightest bit worried about that kind of stuff, definitely check out the Brave browser, because now that I do use it, I'm literally seeing, it shows you stats on the homepage here of how many trackers it's being blocked per visit or per session here. I use this way more often on my MacBook Pro while I'm browsing the web, researching different topics and stuff, and I have thousands of ads that have been blocked thanks to Brave browser. So if you're not using it already, definitely check it out here. Lastly, I do have the Bible app on my home screen, and that goes without saying why I have it. You know, either you have it or don't. No big deal either way, by the way. And then also, I do have a folder here with all the first-party apps. Whenever I switch a new phone, whether that's Pixel, Samsung, in this case it's nothing, I always keep a folder of the first-party apps here so that they're visible, they're easily accessible. I can quickly pop into them, play around with it, and as someone that's reviewing these phones, it's very useful to have quick access to all of the first-party apps. So in this case, this is a staple for any phone that I pick up. So with Nothing OS, that means I have the Essential Space app here, the Recorder app, Weather app, Gallery, and then their earbud connectivity app where you can adjust different EQ settings and you can tune it exactly how you need it to be. Then for my second home screen, as I mentioned, I do have some of these lesser used widgets and lesser used apps, or at least ones that shouldn't be on the main homepage, mostly social media apps like X, YouTube, and then I have playbooks, Google Keep Notes, and like a daily devotional. Again, these are apps that aren't super important, but I have them there. Social media I cannot have on my first page, or I'm going to open it every time I use the phone. So in this case, it's just a little bit of trying to make some kind of barrier to access the most heavy dopamine hitting apps on the platform right now. And at the end of the day, this setup is what keeps me focused and actually enjoying the device that I carry around literally everywhere. And I think that's the beauty of Android. You can make it whatever you want it to be, either setting it up for productivity, for gaming. You can make it a fun, expressive environment for you to enjoy. Anything is possible with the Android world, which is why I love it so much and why this video was so fun for me to make. But before we get out of here, we do have one real quick surprise for you.
Gang, I think Jordan told me that you guys are doing a what's on my phone kind of video, and I thought it'd be interesting for me to come in and tell you what I'm currently using on my devices. I have, as you can see here, I've got a few at the moment on the go. I'm in between 4 devices. This is pretty regular for me. I have the Find X9 Pro, which I'll probably have some thoughts on in a few weeks. I have been using the OnePlus 15 on and off for a little while, which I really like that phone. Has a few problems. I don't know which one I like more, but yeah, they're practically the same device in a lot of ways. S25 Ultra, which I have to say is probably one of my candidates for, it shouldn't be based upon paper and the things that they haven't changed with it. I love this thing to pieces. It's not much of a home screen on there, so we'll get into the Pixel now. This is my current main device of choice, the Pixel 10 Pro XL. I do have the Pixel 10 Pro, but I switch between them a little bit. I think this is just the perfect size for me now, going to that smaller phone. I like the smaller screen, but I also don't like it at the same time because the real estate's a lot smaller and that makes it more difficult. But so as you can see, I've got a nice little gradient wallpaper here. I will get Jordan to link it in the description below if I can find the original source for this. I kind of find images online. Someone will share one on Threads. That's where you can find me anyway on social media. And I'll find a nice gradient wallpaper. I think these are really nice for integrating with a Material 3 or Material theme, because you have that like nice dynamic color change. You can see from my widgets here, but we might make some changes actually while we're at it. I'm guessing you want to know my apps first. Let's go to my dock, because I think a dock says a lot about a person. So currently I still have the phone application here. I'm in two minds of getting rid of it. I have sometimes not used the phone application, but sometimes it is nice to just be able to make a phone call. But to be quite honest with you, it's a little bit redundant when I use WhatsApp for video calls and for calls in general. I also have Pocket Casts, which is probably my used application on my phone. I listen to podcasts constantly. Still one of the best podcast applications on Android, in my opinion. I also, a little bit controversially, have Gemini on my dock, because I use Gemini probably 3 to 4 times a day minimum. So it can sometimes just be ideas generation, continuing a conversation where I left off. I really, really like Gemini, I must admit. It's not something that I expected to use drastically when it was first introduced as Bard, but hey, that's neither here nor there. Above that, I have YouTube. We're on YouTube right now. I watch a lot of YouTube outside of doing YouTube. Chrome, which I probably would say this is my second most used application actually. It's between this trifecta here, so WhatsApp, Chrome, Pocket Casts. They're the big three, as it were. Gmail, because I get hundreds of emails a day, sometimes random pictures that I don't want. YouTube Music, and I'm contemplating getting rid of this because I actually subscribed to Spotify recently as a family member, so I'm part of a family now on Spotify, so I have that a little bit cheaper than it should be. I still rate YouTube Music as the king of mixes, and I listen to lots of, like, my favorite genre is drum and bass, so I listen to mixes. As you can see, most of these are just like 3-4 hour sets in some cases, and I think for me that's still the best. I don't think anybody else has come close to that. YouTube has the best options, and yeah, I highly recommend it. I've also before that I used Google Play Music, so I made that transition over. Don't think it's quite there, but it's still pretty darn good. My social media of choice currently, two social media of choices, I guess they go hand in hand. Threads. I ditched Twitter, so I don't have a presence on Twitter. If anyone out there is trying to say that I'm on Twitter, I'm not. I don't use it. I use Threads instead. I think the conversation is not necessarily perfect on it. Things surface really weirdly, but it's still pretty good nonetheless. It's really good to get a conversation going. Yeah, you can find me here if you want to follow me on Threads. That'd be nice. I'd love to have you join me on Threads. Instagram is another one that I scroll reels far too often. Messages. Now, this is another one that I don't, if I'm being completely honest, I don't use messages all that much, but there are a few people out there. If you're watching this, you know who you are. I contact them on messages. Discord is another one that I use to organize playing games, that kind of stuff. But yeah, pretty standard. I don't think there's anything drastic there. I don't have too many applications. I think 12 is enough on this first home screen. I kind of keep my home screens really like small because I end up scrolling too much, or I end up using certain applications too much. And yeah, your mobile phone can be a time sink, as we all know. As for these widgets, this is from a widget stack called, I think it's M3 Expressive. I really love this application. This is not an ad for them in any way, shape or form, but there's some really nice widgets in this pack that you can add to your home screen. I really like the square ones. I'm not someone who would ordinarily use square icons. I think it's just a little bit too iPhone, but yeah, that's a really cool one. There's some really cool weather applications. This is just a generic Google weather. I kind of prefer this than the at a glance. At a glance is a little bit too small, and yes, obviously you can get that on your lock screen, but sometimes I just want to get one unlock, right, okay, weather's going to be 8 degrees. I know I get a nice weather report where I'm based. Happy with that. I can just go straight in, because I think that the weather reports, especially the AI summaries in the Google weather application, Pixel Weather, is among the best in my experience. I may remove it at some point, but yeah, nothing too drastic. I have a second screen, and this is basically where things begin and end. So obviously dock stays the same. I have this Pixel battery widget I really love. This is one thing I actually miss when I move to every other phone, because I just love the fact that it pairs into my Pixel Watch 4. I can just see the battery at a glance. If I pair with my OnePlus Buds Pro 3, which are still my earbuds of choice, I think, have they been out over a year? These are still my favorite earbuds, period. The sound is incredible. So yeah, when I pair with those, if it does pair with them, this is the magic of video, I'll get a battery status indicator there, hopefully. Yeah, so I know exactly what's going on. Sometimes I miss this notification when I'm kind of doing my thing, and I'll just scroll through and I'm like, okay, I have this much battery. So that's absolutely fine. I use, obviously, Maps for navigation, Uber above that. I've recently re-added this to my home screen because I actually don't ordinarily, if I can show you, I don't ordinarily have Material 3 colors enabled. I usually just go for the standard. I don't actually use themed colors. I kind of keep it just standard for a long time, but I actually found that with the December patch, it's a lot better. So yeah, it's looked colorful, but I actually prefer this monochrome now. It's not something that I was really that bothered about. So now that Uber actually works, it's force themed, I am using it because on my home screen rather than having to go into the drawer and find it manually. Yeah, so Uber's there now. So Uber, you've moved up my rankings. Keep notes, because I'm a really big note taker, and also shopping lists. I haven't found a single application out there that beats Keep Notes for shopping. Monzo is my UK bank account of choice. It's really mobile only, so yeah, that lives there. And here's one I think is another controversial one that actually a lot of people don't actually like, and that's Zero Cam. So I have a video coming out soon talking about my experiences with Zero Cam whilst traveling. I have not used a camera system in the last couple of years on smartphones that haven't been a little bit, how would I put it? Modern smartphone cameras take great photos, but sometimes the processing really ruins the experience. And I think apps like Zero Cam, which offer a zero process look. I have used another application called Unprocessed if you want something that's free and open source. It doesn't have as many controls. For the sake of £6 a year, I think it is here in the UK for a subscription, I'm kind of happy to pay it. I would prefer there to be a one-time fee. But yeah, this is an application I've been using because it just, as you can see from the UI, it really simplifies taking photos. You can choose between the zero processing or get a raw image. I don't like really messing around with raw photos on my phone. I just prefer to have a JPEG that I can put on social media. You can't quite change the lenses yet on Pixel 10 Pro XL. You only have 1 and 2x, but yeah, stay tuned for my video in the coming days. You'll see why I use this a lot more regularly than the actual dedicated Pixel camera system, which is fine, but yeah, nothing drastic. BBC Sport, that's obviously sport. eBay, because I'm a big eBayer. I buy a lot of Pokemon cards on eBay. One of my favorite places to buy them. I have this Pocket Casts, which is a bit redundant. I have this Pocket Cast widget here under another weather widget, which I want to see the full conditions if I'm kind of scrolling around. Sometimes I'll go and look at my bank account, look at some payments I've made, and then I can see the weather. I don't know why, it works for me. I kind of have this same second screen setup on every phone I ever use. Force a habit, maybe a little bit of autism, I'm not sure. But yeah, nothing drastic. I can just obviously play my podcasts from here straight away that are currently in progress. Sorry for playing that loud. That's it, basically. I have now playing on my third screen. I don't know why that's there. That's just a mistake. But yeah, nothing too special, to be quite honest with you. As for apps you might want to know about on my device, nothing major. I do recommend having a VPN at all times. Mullvad is my one of choice. I do have an IPVanish as well, but Mullvad's still pretty expensive, about €5 a month, £5 a month. Still well worth it. Reddit, I use Reddit. I don't have that on my home screen because I'll just open it and scroll indefinitely. Your regular assortment of games wise, actually, I use Balatro. I'm not even going to open that because I'll end up playing a few hands and losing a few hours. That's still my most played game. Any platform I have on every platform, I'm a full-on addict. Yeah, nothing too drastic. I've found about this application recently called Image Toolbar. I haven't even opened it by the looks of it. So this is like this seems like a really cool application where you can kind of like make edits to images that you have in your library. I need to dive into it a bit more because it looks really, really cool because you can do things like do quite a lot of stuff, compress it, increase the size, all that kind of stuff, convert, change things. I really like this, the idea of this. So I'll delve into it, and if there's something cool there, I'll share that down in the description as well. I'll leave a comment. But yeah, nothing too drastic. I kind of keep this one slim. I've actually reset this phone a couple of times since getting it because, hey, making these videos, you end up with stuff all over the place. You don't know what you're doing. Yeah, this is my quick setting setup. Again, nothing too drastic. I like to have certain things in a pill shape because if I'm being honest, it just looks better. Yeah, nothing too drastic. Couple of VPNs, my Google Home accounts. Yeah, I don't think there's anything special going on here. I'm quite I kind of keep things simple with my phone. I don't like to do things, make it too overcomplicated because I end up only using 3 or 4 applications anyway. But yeah, hope that's giving you a little look in behind the curtain, as it were, to how I set up my Pixel. But if you have any thoughts about this one and you have any thoughts about Jordan's setup, yeah, let us know in the comment sections below.